My name is Bradyn Burchett. I am a senior at the University of Central Arkansas. I am currently taking Classroom Management 4305, taught by Professor Steve Ward. This class has helped me better prepare for my own classroom management style in my future school. This presentation is for me to introduce and describe a semester-long project Mr. Ward has asked us to complete. Our project is called A Student Might, a Teacher Should, and it was created to help better prepare me for my future classroom. In this project, I had to come up with a realistic scenario that could happen in the classroom involving classroom management. Once the scenario was identified, I had to decide on what I thought an ineffective and an effective response might be. After that, I polled the experts to obtain information from veteran teachers. The scenario I decided on was this. In your 5th grade mathematics class, you are teaching a lesson on creating ordered pairs and graphing. The children in the class are allowed to have their assigned calculators at their desk. Some students begin to have trouble, so you slow your lesson down and attempt to assist the students having a hard time. While slowing down the lesson, there are a couple of students in the back goofing off and playing games on their calculators. You ask the class to stay involved and explain there will be a quiz over this material at the end of class. One boy looks up from his calculator and says, "I'll pass your simple quiz while I'm playing games on my calculator." The class looks at you for your next move. First, what I believe would be an ineffective response when facing a dilemma as such would be to continue and escalate the situation. I believe that it would be ineffective to try and overpower the student with your voice. The more you, the teacher, partake in a screaming match, the more the student feels backed into a corner where the only escape is to fight back. For example, as the teacher, you can't just start yelling, "Get off your games and do your work." Then the student yells back. This can spiral downhill very quickly and can grow into a dangerous situation for many people involved. Also, stopping instruction hurts the whole class. What I believe an effective response to this situation would be to be prepared with rules and consequences in place for being off task. If you, the teacher, already have rules in place for such behavior, you could just say, "Johnny, stay after class." Then you and Johnny can talk about the consequences he has chosen. The teacher handles the situation with more confidence because the rules are already in place and the student has chose the consequence. This takes care of the problem without wasting any more class time. When receiving the experts' opinions, there was a common theme with the ineffective response. The experts say you should not feed into the student's attitude and say something in response to that student. That student wants the teacher to go back and forth, and it is better for the teacher not to do this in front of the class. Engaging in a power struggle of sorts is not good for the rest of the class because it takes time away from the lesson. Never accept the challenge of a verbal debate. The expert's opinion on the effective response has some commonalities as well. They say an effective strategy would be to keep the rest of the class on task and deal with the particular student in private. As the class works, take the student to the hall and talk to him or her. Sometimes you can find the source of the disrespect by simply talking to the student and asking what is wrong. Another way to deal with such behavior is to have rules and consequences set up to deal with such situations. If rules and consequences are in place, there will be no room for students to argue to the teacher, and the teacher spends less time dealing with the situation. Last, as a teacher, differentiation should be built into every lesson so that no student will ever feel bored or have time to goof off. For example, if the lesson is going to cause differentiation, which will lead to the teacher accommodating to lower performing students, then an activity, a problem set, or a word problem should be ready before the teacher begins. From this assignment, I have learned to try and handle situations of misbehavior privately and not in front of a class. I have learned it is pointless to partake in screaming matches or power struggles. Also, well-managed classrooms have predetermined rules and consequences to avoid situations as such. I have learned to try to not take time away from other students, and when privately talking to a particular student, listen and try to find out underlying causes for this behavior. To apply what I have learned in my future classroom, I will spend some time determining preset rules and consequences. Also, when writing lessons, I will be careful to differentiate to all learning styles and speeds. My main focus will be keeping the class moving in order to ensure everyone receives the same opportunities and all understand material. While researching, I found a theorist, Gounod, which I believe goes along with what I have learned by doing this assignment. He came up with congruent communication. This means that teachers focus on situations instead of students' characters, confer dignity on students, use brevity in correcting misbehavior, accepting and acknowledge students' feelings, and express anger appropriately. I think this goes along with a student might, because Gounod talks about teachers using sane teacher messages. Never threaten a child, call children names, label students as slow or unmotivated, ask rhetorical questions, invade privacy of a student, be sarcastic, deny feelings, lose temper and self-control, and attack students' characters. Gounod suggests that a middle school teacher must do three things. 1. Teachers should use positive comments to develop healthy self-esteem. 2. Teachers should model appropriate behavior. And last, teachers should encourage students to set the bar for classroom behavior and rules. By doing this, teachers encourage positive behavior without threats and teach students the way teachers themselves want to be treated. Handle conflicts in a harmonious manner, and do whatever is possible to promote a positive school environment.